Karoline Leavitt just got in front of the podium and defended Trump calling for the hanging of senators and defended Trump calling a woman reporter Quiet Piggy. Karoline Leavitt is contributing to the downfall of our democracy on a daily basis by running defense for the most vile, batshit insane narratives, and I can almost guarantee that Karoline doesn't even believe most of this stuff herself. Her job is to spin for the craziest president ever who is living in an alternate reality with no walls or no reality tests around him. So Karoline Leavitt will one day have a cross on and be saying that it's okay to call women reporters piggy. Then the next day she'll have no cross and be defending Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein's relationship, saying that it's all a hoax. But that it's not a hoax when it comes to Democrats, but it is a hoax when it comes to Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. The point is, she has no problem contributing to the rapid decline of our democracy, of our norms, of any guardrails that we have, and she illustrates this perfectly today by muddying the waters around Trump calling for the hanging of senators. I made a video about this earlier. It's a really big story, so you should go check that out. Our president is batshit insane and is calling for the hanging of Democratic senators because they said that if you are given an unlawful order, you should refuse to follow it, which is very American. If you are given an unlawful order, the United States Uniform Code of Military Justice says that you have to disobey an unlawful order. So let's just start off with Karoline Leavitt being asked about the Quiet Piggy moment. A few days ago, Donald Trump on Air Force One yelled at a reporter and said, "Quiet Piggy." Here's Karoline Leavitt's spin on that.
Natalie.
Thank you, Caroline. What did the president mean when he called a reporter piggy?
Look, the president is very frank and honest with everyone in this room. You've all seen it yourself. You've all experienced it yourselves. And I think it's one of the many reasons that the American people reelected this president, because of his frankness. And he
Donald Trump could take a shit on the Oval Office desk and they would say, he's just frank about the way that he uses plumbing. He's just frank about the way that he uses the bathroom. He's pushing the boundaries. No other president would be willing to do this. Like really?
calls out fake news when he sees it. He gets frustrated with reporters when you lie about him, when you spread fake news about him and his...
He doesn't just call out fake news. He's personally attacking a string of women reporters. He called another reporter the other day a terrible person and a terrible reporter who needs to get out. What are we doing here? The President of the United States can't control his own emotions or his anger or his rage. This clip goes on for 30 more seconds of Karoline saying, you know, sometimes our president is just frank. Sometimes he's open. Okay, so he's frankly a misogynist. He's openly a bigot. He's frankly a piece of shit. That's what you can say. Here is Karoline Leavitt saying that we have a communist coming to the White House tomorrow. She's referring to an agreed upon meeting between Zohran Mamdani and Donald Trump, which honestly, I think this might be a good thing for Zohran. I think that Zohran showing that he's willing to reach across and speak to people and meet with people, I think Zohran is the person to do this. I understand the hesitancy to even meet or entertain Trump, but I think Zohran is going to do a good job at controlling the narrative and gaining attention, so it's going to be rather interesting to see. It's going to be an important meeting that lays the groundwork for the future of New York, and of course, Zohran has said he's going to fight Trump. Zohran has said he's going to fight, but like, taking the meeting is the right thing to do just to lay the groundwork, in my opinion. But Karoline Leavitt doesn't reciprocate the friendliness and calls him a communist. I don't even know if it's worth debunking, but Zohran's not a communist. There's not a single communist in power in the Democratic Party. Zohran calls himself a democratic socialist. Even the farthest left Democrat, who is Bernie Sanders, calls himself a democratic socialist, or maybe even a social democrat. There are no communists in the Democratic Party in power. Maybe some people in the base consider themselves communists, but most of those people don't even vote for like Kamala Harris. The communists aren't voting for Kamala. They think Kamala is a, establishment shill, which
I think you'll all hear from him directly. I also think I will just add, it speaks volumes that tomorrow we have a communist coming to the White House, because that's who the Democrat Party elected as the mayor of the largest city in the country. I think it's very telling, but I also think it speaks to the fact that President Trump is willing to meet with anyone and talk to anyone and to try to do what's right on behalf of the American people, whether they live in blue states or red states or blue.
By the way, this is going to age horribly. By talk to people and by meet with people, he's probably just going to deride Zohran or call him a communist or make fun of him. I mean, he met with Zelensky, but that meeting turned into Zelensky getting yelled at. When she says that Donald Trump meets with people, it's not always a good thing. He rolled out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin, which, like, I'm not inherently against a meeting between the parties of the Ukraine war, but I am against the way Donald Trump did it, which was no concessions, no enforcement mechanisms, no actual bringing the hammer down when the time is necessary. No, just pure red carpet and fluff. That is not the way that you act as a leader. In this next clip, Karoline Leavitt is finally asked about Donald Trump's insane meltdown throughout today. He has been calling for the death of Democratic senators. He has been calling for the hanging of Democratic lawmakers who simply said, you should follow your oath to the Constitution. I made a video about this earlier, but here is how Karoline Leavitt spins this. And later on, she honestly just walks off when she's asked about it and when she's corrected on it. Let's take a listen to this right here.
Brian.
Thank you, Caroline. Two questions. We were talking about before, earlier in this briefing, about the president's orders. You were going back and forth about what the ad said, what it didn't say. My first question is...
The ad?
The advertisement that the Senate Democrats were featured in. So my first question is, no matter what the order is, it could be to any administration official, military or otherwise, no matter if legal experts might think it's illegal, does the president expect those cabinet members, administration officials to go ahead with those orders regardless of any outside thinking or experts?
The president expects his cabinet officials in the administration to follow the law and to demand accountability and hold people accountable for their dangerous rhetoric. And I would just add that if this were Republican members of Congress who were encouraging members of the military and members of our United States government to defy orders from the president and from the chain of command, this entire room would be up in arms. But instead, it is the other way around, and I think that's quite telling. I'm going to let you all go because the president...
Wait. You know what's telling? You know what's really telling is that the senators, like Slotkin and the other representatives, all they wanted to do was for people to follow the law. That was the only ask. Follow the law. Disobey unlawful orders and obey lawful orders. Karoline Leavitt tries to spin that as saying that the president expects his cabinet officials to follow the law. You know what Democrats got for following the law? Death threats. Death threats from the president of the United States. This has gone to a new level where it's not just crazy people attacking Paul Pelosi. I mean, of course, that's terrible. And Donald Trump caused that. But now Trump himself is calling for the death, the hanging of Democratic lawmakers. This did happen during January 6th, but even then it wasn't Trump saying hang Mike Pence, it was his supporters. The fact that Trump is now saying this is next level. And then a reporter calls her out on the double standards between the rhetoric between sides. A reporter says, the president and the vice president always say that Democrats encourage political violence. Isn't Trump encouraging political violence when he, says he's going to invade Chicago, posts videos of him arresting Obama made out of AI, says that Democrats are gnats who need to be taken care of, or even saying that Democrats, some of them, need to be hung? Yeah, I think that's a little bit more inflammatory. Take a listen to this.
Well, if the president and the vice president, for that matter, have accused the other side of encouraging political violence, isn't that exactly what the president is doing when he says that members of Congress should be killed?
Why aren't you talking about what these members of Congress are doing to encourage it? Incite violence? They are literally saying to 1.3 million active duty service members not to defy the chain of command, not to follow lawful orders.
Actually,
every single
can refuse an illegal order, which
but
is
they're suggesting, Nancy, that the president has given illegal orders, which he has not. Every single order that is given to this United States military by this commander-in-chief and through this chain of command, through the Secretary of War, is lawful. And
this is not true. So during Donald Trump's first term, he told Mark Esper that he wanted to shoot protesters in the legs. Even if you want to go to his current term, Donald Trump has been subverting Congress in order to strike boats on the sea. Even if we want to isolate it to the past 24 hours, Donald Trump this morning has been saying seditious behavior, punishable by death. This is really bad. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. Seditious behavior from traitors. Lock them up. He says a little bit later down, hang them. George Washington would. He's stirring this up so much that this has 8,000 likes coming from the President of the United States, and they're going to claim that he's not even close to handing out any unlawful orders? Dude, he's literally on Truth Social saying things that are incredibly inflammatory and unlawful. Let's watch this final clip of somebody trying to correct Karoline on her lies, and she just dips out of the room entirely.
And you will hear more about that later.
Caroline,
Thank you.
You misquoted Democrats in that video. That's actually not what they said.
That was Caitlin Collins. You can actually hear Caitlin Collins say, "You misquoted Democrats in the video. That's not what they said." Because Karoline claims, I should have debunked this earlier, sorry. Karoline claims that Democrats are calling for people to not follow orders. The Democrats simply said, do not obey unlawful orders. By definition, that is what the UCMJ says. The Uniform Code of Military Justice says that, and they are trying to gaslight. So Karoline Leavitt walks off as Caitlin Collins asks, I'll play it one more time.
And you will hear more about that later. Thank you. And you will hear more.
You misquoted Democrats, that's not what they said. And she just walks off and entirely ignores it. I'm going to leave it there. Make sure you drop a like, subscribe. I love you all, and peace out.